You're gearing up for a fresh campaign. You've got the premium modules installed for the 2024 core rulebooks. Maybe you're diving into a flagship adventure like Tomb of Annihilation, or exploring A House Divided, crafted by the Foundry team to showcase what FoundryVTT can do. No modules required. Then, before your session 0, it happens. One of your players asks to play something outside the 2024 core rules. You don't want to say no. After all, you've been running games with the 2014 rules, pen, paper, maybe D&D Beyond, and with very few limitations. Now you realize you need to make this possible in FoundryVTT. This video kicks off a series where I'll show you how to brew custom content, species, backgrounds, classes, subclasses, and more outside the official 2024 rule set. I'll be using the latest DnD5e system version, currently 5.1.4. If you're on an older version, some examples might not work as shown. Some of this will take a creative approach, my own mythic spin, but I'll make sure it's modular, adaptable, and helps you build your own variations. We'll create features, walk through advancements, and test everything in example actor. I also will highlight a few modules that I use in my crafting world. Nothing bloated, just the essentials, and I'll explain when they come up. Welcome to Mithral Brews. I'm Chris, and I help dungeon masters bring their games into the digital realm. Focused on FoundryVTT and the DnD5e system, my goal is to remove the friction of imported content. Whether it's official sources, from third parties, or your own imagination, if you're ready to brew something mythic, modular, and uniquely yours, let's get brewing. I've set up compendiums that both I and my players can access, and others that are DM only. Organizing this, along with some module customizations, goes beyond the scope of this video, but if you'd like to deeper dive into that, let me know in the comments below. This is a great time to pause and say, if you want to stay notified of all the content I'm brewing up, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if it's a video that helped you with your FoundryVTT experience, give it a thumbs up. It helps me know if I'm on the right track to supporting the Foundry community. Next, let's talk about your crafting world, your brewing environment. This is a separate world where you can create or modify content without affecting your live game worlds. With a shared compendium, anything you create here will be available in other worlds. But by keeping your creative work isolated, you reduce the risk of accidentally altering a player character, NPC, or scene because inspiration struck before testing. This setup gives you the freedom to experiment, iterate, and refine without disrupting your player's experience. Now, anytime that you are creating your own custom content, I highly recommend just looking at what's already there. Using the example that's already made for you will help teach you how you should create your own content and make it very easy for you. So let's take a look at the player's handbook. If we go to character origins and we go to species, you'll see how they have this set up. We have under the character origins, we have backgrounds and we have species into a folder. And within that folder, there's a separate folder for traits and then all the species features. Well, not the features, these are the species themselves. So let's take a look at Goliath, for instance. If we open up Goliath, we see the description. We have the details, which is really pretty simple. It just has an identifier of what it is in case there's like some advancement that you would need to use this for. And then if we look under advancements, we see what the Goliath gets depending on any level, so meaning at first level, and then what they obtain later at 5th level. If we look at the elves, we'll see that the elves are separated in their own species rather than being a subspecies, as Wizards of the Coast has removed that feature and created just each elf as its own species. So if we look at the elf drow, same thing, the details, the advancements, and then you'll see that the drow gets different features at different levels. We should call them traits. Species use traits, backgrounds use features, classes use features. So let's take a look at this. If we look at our own module, and we're going to create, we have character origins. I created a module that's called player brews that have player options, and I would use this as my different player options. So it will go beyond species and backgrounds. It'll also have class options, subclass options here. So we're going to first unlock this compendium, and then we're going to open it. Let's put it side by side for now, as we're using this as an example. We're going to hit create folder. From create folder, we'll type in species, just like they have here. And then from that folder, we'll add a subfolder, not an item. To get the folder option, you have to open the folder. And we're going to call it traits. All right, we now have the species and traits. I always start with the traits or the features first. These are going to be the items we attach to the actual species, background, or class, subclass. Let's take a look at the Tabaxi traits. We know it's a humanoid. They have size, speed, cat claws, cat's talent, dark vision, feline agility. So we need to make some of these traits, for instance, feline agility and cat claws, cat's talent. Those are going to be the three features that, or traits that we are going to make. Go back to Foundry. We're going to click the traits button, and then we're going to go down to feature. There we go. That's why we're going to create a new feature, and we're going to call this feline agility. We're not going to worry about the icon image right now. We'll come back to that towards the end. We're going to just go down the line here a little, one thing at a time. So we're going to go under description. We're going to just copy and paste it from D&D Beyond. If you do not have D&D Beyond, then you might want to type it in from your book. If you have other sources that you're getting it from, then it's probably just going to be a cut and paste. All right, so this is reflexes, your agility to allow you to move with a burst of speed. When you move on your turn in a combat, you can double your speed until the end of the turn. Once you use this trait, you can't use it again until you move 0 feet on one of your turns. This is going to be a pretty easy one. There's really nothing that we need to create in terms of automation. You could add an effect when the player clicks on feline agility, it doubles their movement speed. I don't think it's necessary for that. I think you could just easily just move the character just like a dash action. You don't really need to create any kind of effect or anything that identifies it as a class action or a dash action. So it's really going to be up to you as a DM how much you want to automate or make things known. I think for right now, just adding this description is all you really have to do. And under details, we would switch this to a species feature. And then again, if you're not sure, let's go over to the traits. Let's go back to that Goliath and let's take a look at the Goliath here. We open up Goliath, move this to the side. We look up advancements. Okay, so giant ancestry. We can click there. Giant ancestry, it's text. Details is just species feature. So we're going to go to activities. There's no activities. There's no effect. There's no advancement. It's just text. So there's not much you need to put in there. Okay, so we have feline agility set up. Let's go back to D&D Beyond. The next thing we want to set up is the cat claws. This is a feature, but it is also a weapon. So we're going to try to set it up as a weapon. So let's go back to Foundry. We're going to hit create item. We're going to create a weapon. Hit create item. And then we're going to call this cat claws. Just like before, we're going to cut and paste the description from D&D Beyond, or type it. And then, as we see, you can use your claws to make an unarmed strike. So it's using the claws instead of your fist to do an unarmed strike, doing more damage and slashing instead of bludgeoning. So let's take a look at the unarmed strike. To do that, we're going to go to the Compendium browser, we're going to go to items, and we're going to look up the unarmed strike. Because as I said before, let's look at the examples of the way things are already set up and utilize that example as a way to build our own. To be able to see and edit any of the details, we're going to have to import it into our world, and then we can click on it here. So one thing is they've added the description to the unarmed strike to just look at the reference from the D&D or from the player's handbook. So we're going to take that and we're going to add that reference here because as we're updating this species to 2024 in this video, let's make sure that we're considering all of those details. So just because the player has cat claws doesn't mean they might not want to do one of the other options. And the other options for unarmed strike is the shove or the grapple. Then we're going to look at the details. We're going to see that under details, it's a natural weapon. They're proficient. And then the damage, they have it as 1 plus that modifier, right? So we're going to take our damage and we're doing 1d6 at mod. So all we're doing is changing the 1 plus and putting in the formula for the damage dice. Then we're switching it to slashing instead of bludgeoning. Then we're going to look at the activities here. We're going to hit the attack activity. We're going to see how they set up the attack activity. And we see that it's set up, it's hard-coded to be melee, unarmed. If we click on activation, nothing changes there. Nothing changes in consumption. Nothing really changes in targeting. You could change this to feet, I guess, and that would actually be under details. And we should go back to this quick because it is 5 feet reach. And then go back here. Now it shows 5 the feet. And then 1 creature. So 1 creature or object. And then go under effect. That effect up here, it's by default, it's defaulted in strength or dexterity. Both in the description of the unarmed strike and the cat claws, it says use strength as the attack ability. It has it brings everything over into the attack damage, and yeah, that's it right there. The attack is built. Now, again, we're using the same activities as the unarmed strike. We just added the fact that it does more damage and it's slashing now. So you still have the option to do the grapple and shove. We don't really need to build that. All we have to do is drag and drop it over here. So now it's got the grapple and shove activity from the unarmed strike. And we're done. That's the cat claws. Close that. Oh, actually, before I do that, we should probably bring the effects over to, that way it references that. So if we go into grapple or shove, we're going to see. We'll make sure everything's set up correctly still. Yeah, we have to tell it to do the grapple or the prone abilities there. All right. Now we're set up. All right, let's go back. The next thing is Cat's talent. You have proficiency in perception and skills, or stealth skills. But let's take a look at how some of the other species set up their proficiencies. Actually, here you have proficiency in insight, perception, and survival skills. So, keen senses. So let's take a look at how the drow trait works. If we go up to the elf, they put all the elves under the same. because they created this elf lineage. So keen senses, you have proficiency in insight, perception, or survival. You will be prompted for your choices after selecting this species. So they did make it a trait that will be added as one of the elf's traits to start off. So let's go ahead and do that. They also added the trance and the elf lineage. The elf lineage actually is telling the system that they get these drow features. So we don't need to do much more than just put the text, just like the feline agility. So we're going to add this. We're going to go to feature, create item. We're going to say cat's talent. Under the description, we just cut and paste. And there we go. That's all we really need here. We're going to go under here. This is a species feature. And no other needs here. Back to here. Everything else is going to be part of the class or the species advancement. So no needs to change there. So now we just need to create the species. So we're going to create item under species. We're going to choose species. We're going to call this Tabaxi. And then let's take a look again as an example. Let's take a look at the, this time let's take a look at the orc. Looking at the orc, it looks like there's, they just put in the top, the main description here. I like to keep it looking as close to the official product in the description. So I'm going to cut and paste it, but I'm going to rearrange it from what it is set up in the D&D Beyond or the Mordecai's book. So I'm going to bring it over the description here, and then I'm going to type in Tabaxi. Traits. And then it looks like there's a hard line. So I'm going to go into the HTML code here. Go down here, and it's HR will give it a hard return. Yeah, that gives it the line. If we hit save, it's using something a little bit different. We can always import this if we want to take a look at what it's doing differently there. So it looks like it just has a specific formatting from CSS. Let's take a look if that is something that's more easier to find. So let's take a look. It's saying this formatting is H3. Yeah, so the H3 formatting puts in that line. So that means we can get rid of this. All right. All right, going back to here, it's a humanoid. We can put in the, if we want to put a subtype, it's a humanoid Tabaxi. Movement is 30 feet. We got that. And you have a climbing speed equal to your walking speed. So we can actually, oh, we already did that. So climbing speed and then walking is 30. So walking and climbing is 30 feet. And then senses, they have dark vision out to 60 feet. So we can add dark vision. And with that, that is complete. We can now put in creature type. Humanoid. Size. And I'm just going to another way to make this go a little faster is if you do grab the stuff from the official content, you can copy, paste it, and then just change it as you need here. So they are small or medium. An example of what that looks like typed up is here. Now, there's no good representation of what those heights are. It says if we look over here, height and weight regardless of player character, or player characters regardless of race, typically fall in the same ranges of height and weight of that of humans. Have in our world, of course, you can make that change in your world. So let's go back here. We're just going to actually cut and paste the human options here, or we're going to just type in the exact same thing. So we actually start with medium. Or small. About 2 to 4 feet. And of course, this is chosen when you select the species. Of course, this is something you can make up, change if you want to. I mean, there's nothing against that. So they have a 30-foot movement. And then we can put in, and you have 30. You have a climbing speed equal to your walking speed. All right. We can say as a Tabaxi, you have these special traits. And then dark vision at the range of 60 feet. We can say cat's claws. Just add, we're just cutting and pasting this stuff. So cat's talent be another one. And lastly, we want feline agility. And we can put that, copy and paste that in. And make sure that's bold. Like everything else. And so now, again, you have the same look and feel in the description as you do the other official species built by the Foundry team. Okay, now we go under the details. So let's take a look at the details into the org. What is it they do? They just put the identifier as Tabaxi. And then under advancement, let's take a look at advancements. All right, so the first thing to do is to change the advancement. So the first thing they've actually defaulted by making sure that you have the size option here. We can edit that advancement, and all we have to do is choose the different advancement options that you want to give to the player. If we want to give them the option to do huge, large, or gargantuan, there you go. That's an option in your world. That might be something that you want to provide on your custom race. So we just choose that. We don't need to put any text. It has some default. Okay, so now we just hit plus here, and you would think that we're going to give it Tabaxi traits. We're not going to do that yet. We're going to actually grant items. We're going to start by granting items, and the items that we're going to grant are over here, and we're going to grant these 3 items. So we're going to create an advancement. We're going to call this Tabaxi traits. And then we're going to drop the items in which we're going to grant there. So we're going to grant the cat's claws, the cat's talent, and feline agility. And now we're going to need so part of the cat's talent is that you get the proficiencies of perception and stealth skills. If we hover over these, they'll give us an example of what you're looking to add. And if you hover over the traits, you'll see that this is where you would grant things such as proficiency skills and languages. So we're going to grant that, create an advancement, and we're going to just name this cat's talent. And then we're going to say it grants perception and stealth. And it doesn't really need to have anything else. You just click close, and it's going to grant this when the player creates that actor with the Tabaxi. Okay, so that concludes everything that we need to provide to the Tabaxi player character. If we look at the D&D Beyond again, we don't need to worry about creature type. We don't need to worry about languages because that is now granted with the background. We don't do ability score increases. That's part of the background. Looking here, we've hit all of the Tabaxi traits. Let's go ahead and close this down. Close all these. And let's test it. Let's create an actor. We'll just take Bugsy the tester here. We can change him from a human cleric to a Tabaxi cleric. So if we just remove the human advancement, we're going to click close. It's going to say, hey, you want to remove the advancement changes? We say yes. And then if we click on here to add species, we're going to see, because I have filtered out from my compendium the system default, the SRD, I no longer need to use those because I have my player's handbook, and the only other place I'm using other than player's handbook is my homebrew content. You'll see that under D&D homebrew, we have the Tabaxi species. We don't have any artwork yet, but we're not worried about that. We're going to click the checkbox there. We'll hit select. And now we choose small or medium. Let's choose medium. Perception and stealth is going to be granted. We're getting all of these traits. We're going to hit complete. So let's take a look to see if things changed. All right, so he was human. So if we close him here, we now have dark vision that we got from the Tabaxi. We're going to go to features. We're going to see that we have cat's talent. And if we look at the description, there it is. You have proficiencies. Again, this is more of text. We also have the feline agility. If you're the character and the DM needs to, review what that is, you can always click on it and it'll drop it into the chat. And then if we go under inventory, you'll see that it's granted the cat's claws. So if we click here to attack, we see that we have the attack. We roll the attack. It uses our strength modifier, which this person has 2, so +2. So we rolled a 6. If we were to roll damage, it would roll 1d6 +2 for our strength, slashing And there you go. That is the Tabaxi species set up correctly. If you want to add you want to go back to the options, you want to add some token or icon images to this, we could go here, especially cat's claws are probably easy to find. If we go to edit, we click on here. The easiest way to get to it is go under core data. This will bring you to the core files. You go under icons, and then it'll give you all the icons. Now I have added the icons as a favorite, so if you click here after you've gone into this folder and hit click the favorites, it'll now show up here and easy for you to find. I do that because I do, especially in this world, a lot of content in which I need to build, so having a quick access to the icons is really good for me. You'll see that here's some of the just like the game icons from Foundry, but we're going to look under creatures, we're going to look up claws, and we're going to choose an option that looks the most like cat claws, I guess. It might not even be an option, so we can use any kind of claws. So let's do this one. Well, those are more like talons. Scaled claws, hooked claws, curved claws, bear paw claws. We'll just do, there we go, these claws here. We'll select that. There are plenty of videos out there that will show you how to make your own icons, and then you can put them into your icon folder. So if I go here, I go back to my user data, go to modules, and I look for my module, so D&D Homebrew. I have these two folders. The packs are for the compendiums. Assets is where we're putting our artwork. And then if I had my own icons, I could choose and upload my own icons for these images. That's it. That's how you add a species to your FoundryVTT system. Again, if you like the content here, please subscribe to my channel. Give me a thumbs up if this has really helped you. Our next video will go into backgrounds. We'll eventually do a video on classes and subclasses, and we will even add some feats possibly. Again, there's so much stuff that you can build. It doesn't take that much time. You don't need to import it with things possibly not working and not having all the activities built, etc. Build it yourself. You're going to enjoy it more. This will actually teach you a little bit about the design of, let's say, the species or the classes, so that if you want to make your own species, your own classes, it really gives you insight into that design. It's one of the biggest reasons why I think Foundry is in itself stands differently than most of the other systems out there that you could be using digitally to play your games. Thank you for watching. May all your brews be tasty.